Welcome back to This Explainer. Today we're jumping right into one of the absolute most epic, visually stunning, and emotionally charged stories in all of ancient history. We're talking about the story of Prophet Yunus, also known as Jonah, and his mission to a massive ancient city that was literally teetering on the brink of total annihilation. We're going to follow this cinematic journey from the dusty, chaotic streets of an ancient metropolis all the way to the terrifying, violent crashes of a massive storm out at sea.
So, it really makes you wonder what actually happens when a prophet just loses hope. I mean, imagine the heavy, completely suffocating burden of trying to save a population that stubbornly, aggressively refuses to listen to you. Imagine pouring your heart out day after day only to be met with constant mockery. It pushes you to the absolute edge of your patience, right? So what happens when the very person sent to save you simply throws his hands up and walks away?
Let's dive right into Section 1, the call to Nineveh.
Our story kicks off in the ancient, bustling metropolis of Nineveh, which is located in modern-day Mosul. And we have to get the scale right here. This wasn't just some small, quiet village. This was a sprawling, major center of civilization with well over 100,000 people. Men, women, children. Prophet Yunus was sent to guide this absolutely massive population. Now, trying to change the mindset of just one or two people is hard enough, right? But trying to shift the fundamental beliefs of over 100,000 citizens, that is an unbelievably daunting task.
Because, you see, the people of Nineveh were deeply, deeply lost in the dark. Instead of worshiping the creator of the universe, they had built these elaborate systems of belief around man-made idols. They're literally bowing down to statues carved out of stone and wood and looking up to the stars and planets for their salvation. They were a people completely disconnected from the truth, totally wrapped up in materialism and ancient superstitions.
And the ancient source texts reveal this really fascinating tension. Yunus is desperately calling them back to the truth. He's using logic, he's using emotion, but they met his urgent pleas with just this overwhelming wall of stubbornness. The records actually tell us that not a single one of them believed him. No one. They just dug their heels in, choosing their comfortable, familiar ignorance over his really urgent warnings.
Which brings us to Section 2, Warning and Departure.
Look, every human being has a breaking point. After years of facing this intense defiance, Yunus issued a final, terrifying warning that divine punishment was coming. It was imminent. And then, overwhelmed by frustration, he makes a fateful decision. He leaves the city in anger. Meanwhile, the people of Nineveh just stay behind in their dangerous ignorance. It's this chilling standoff. The prophet completely abandons his post, and the doomed city just carries on with business as usual.
But the cinematic tension here is just incredible. Day 1. Yunus departs. Day 2, this eerie, heavy silence falls over the entire city. But then, on the third day, the atmosphere in Nineveh violently shifts. The winds change, the light starts fading, and the horrific signs of that promised punishment actually begin to manifest.
That takes us right into Section 3, the skies darken.
Picture this. You're standing in those ancient streets, and suddenly you feel this bone-chilling drop in temperature. The people look up in sheer unimaginable terror. These massive, terrifying black clouds are looming directly over their rooftops. The sky turns these crazy colors of fire and ash, threatening total apocalyptic destruction. The darkness was so thick, so real, that the weight of Yunus's warning just crashed down upon every single citizen all at once.
And that triggers a massive, citywide panic. The entire population, over 100,000 people, pour frantically out of their homes and into the streets. They are crying, weeping in pure, unfiltered terror. And in that raw moment of existential dread, they desperately wished Yunus was still there to tell them what to do. Having completely exhausted every worldly option they had, and finally realizing their fatal mistake, they turned collectively to Allah, begging for mercy with absolute, sincere repentance.
And then, the ancient records state this really beautiful line. They repented, and Allah lifted the punishment from them. In this incredibly profound moment of divine grace, their collective repentance was actually accepted. Literally, right as the crushing blow was about to land, the sky cleared, the dark clouds just dissipated, an entire city saved, entirely through the power of genuine remorse.
Now, shifting gears to Section 4, the storm at sea.
Because meanwhile, miles and miles away, completely unaware that his people had just been saved, an angry Yunus had reached the seashore and boarded a departing ship. He probably thought he was finally finding some peace. But what started as a calm escape quickly turns into a terrifying fight for survival. A supernatural storm hits.
The sky blackens over the ocean, and these towering, violent waves start tossing this fragile wooden vessel around like it's a bath toy. The situation on board becomes absolutely desperate. The ship is literally taking on water, and the terrified crew is scrambling to lighten the load. Then, they turn to this fascinating ancient maritime custom, casting lots. Basically, letting fate decide who had angered the gods and needed to be sacrificed to the sea. And in this shocking twist of divine destiny, the lot falls directly on Prophet Yunus. The man who was fleeing his mission is now standing right on the edge of a sinking ship, staring down into the violent abyss.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Lessons of Prophet Yunus. Now, while we know the story famously continues into the belly of the whale, just this first half of the journey, from the doomed city to the violent sea, leaves us with some incredibly profound reflections. We see the real, tangible danger of losing patience when things get tough. We witness the world-altering power of sincere repentance. It proves that boundless mercy is literally always available if you just turn back. And finally, it shows us the absolute necessity of trusting the divine plan, even when you are surrounded by life's darkest storms.
So, I want to leave you with this thought. If an entire doomed city, over 100,000 stubborn souls, can change its apocalyptic fate through a single genuine moment of reflection, what terrifying storms in your own life can be conquered right now through unwavering patience and faith? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I truly hope this narrative gives you the clarity to face whatever waves might be crashing in your own world today.